escape engineer's inspector summary video. Here we are in Tyngsboro. We have a fire escape here that's 45 years old. The fire escape is a combination of welded connections and bolted connections. This examination, as part of Mass Building Code 1001.3, examine, test, or certify. It has not passed the examination. It has some rust in some of the connections that I'm about to explain. So at this time we cannot either load test it or we cannot proceed to certification. Two options that you have here. You can spot repair this fire escape and then load test it. You can spot repair this fire escape and then provide an opinion letter with a letter of disclaimer of liability back to the owner of the fire escape. Or you can change all the bolts and rebolt all the welds, and you get a certification, and that certification will allow you to have other evidence of strength for the next 15 to 25 years to avoid having this be load tested. So let's go over any welded connection. To avoid having to x-ray or load test it, just put in a gusset, put a bolt between the two, and then you kill. So all major structural. Put a bolt up here, put a bolt down there, if the one is already, I think some are already down there. But again, wherever there's a welded connection, you pop in a bolt, you avoid the load test. Major structural. So these corners, but posting. But a lot of times these are minor. These are called minor structural. But every now and then, because it's welded, you can put an angle clip here, bolt, we eliminate welds. This you just have to verify that it's in good order. But if you have the drill here, get a bolt here, get a bolt there, silicone shut everything that's a welded connection. This grating that runs from here to there, there's rust built up on the angle there, and there's rust built up. Before you clean that, drill it first from the other side using 1/2-inch bolts. That way when you take the grating up and you pop those off, you can clean all the rust, silicone shut it, putting it back, but you don't weld it back, you bolt it back. Because again, the EPA says anything older than 78 is presumed to have a lead-based primer and paint. So no welding on this fire escape as a means of repair. You can only bolt it. So any angle clips, anything that has a weld, before you tear it apart, drill some holes in it so that you can put it back with bolts. Needs a paint job, so I recommend highly that it looks like the paint's all gone on some of this grating. They get a full primer and a full paint. You can take them out and spray them, or you can hand roll them with a sausage roller. Coming down, the treads on the left and the treads on the right, there is some buildup of rust on some of this. Now, in some areas where you can't get, you're going to have to break the bolt. When you put it back, use one-way screw, self-tappers. Otherwise, every other bolt is accessible. Clean all the rust. Make sure you silicone shut it from above, okay, on all these. And some of these have some good rust already built up in it. This has some very good rust built up in it. So I recommend, and that's too much rust, so this is a life safety issue. It's not collapsing in any way, but I would get some backup bolts because she's questionable. All your treads, same thing. We got plenty of rust growing. You got one tread buried in here, and it's a shame because these tend to get destroyed. So you got to clean that out, and I just don't know what to do there with what you can put in its place, but eventually that will rot itself out. So a lot of times, especially anything near the ground, we tar it to the ground, keep it away so that feet and shoes don't pick it up. But after we cleanse that, we usually tar 6 to 8 inches of it so that the snow doesn't keep eating. Any cracks in the cement, we seal those so that water doesn't do any ice jacking. All the bolts here, all the welded. So a lot of times by switching out the fasteners, you avoid having to load test this fire escape. These brackets are all welded, so as soon as you put a gusset here that you can put a bolt, you eliminate the need to x-ray or load test this. So put the bolts, verify the connection into the building. See the rust going in here? See the rust? Look at all that. See all that rust? So what you do is you drill some holes in this first, then you tear the welds open, take it off, clean it, prime it, put it back, silicone shut it. That's not only here, that's also up there, as you can see. All right, now, still trying to figure out what was the attachment point, because you've got some bolts here. I can't seem to verify how this thing is tied into the building. Oh, All right, so this I have to question whether it's properly epoxied or through bolted back into the building. I can't see the connection. I doubt this is it. I don't know if they welded it or this needs to be verified. The answer here, because of the way they attached it, I can't seem to figure out how they attached it back into the building, whether that C channel is part of the attachment. So two things can happen. We can put another leg on this thing to the ground. It's probably going to have to be with the sono. Otherwise, we just have to verify how this thing is tied back into the building, because right now I got expansion bolts in here, and I don't know if there's a plate on the inside. I'll have to get further information on that, or if it's welded somehow, but I see no evidence. Even down here I can't see any evidence of, you know, right here it's just the C channel, the bolts, but they don't look like through bolts with a nut coming back out. So that's one more piece of the verification process that somebody will have to go inside. Otherwise, you put legs to the ground on this thing, even if they're recessed in a foot or two. That's going to basically keep this thing from peeling off the building, so it wouldn't be able to be load tested. So, in conclusion, fire escape needs a paint job. EPA guidelines regarding lead apply. You have welded connections and bolted connections combo. She's 45 years old, and she's going to need some attention prior to either spot repairing and load testing or full refurb to avoid the load test. Any questions? Fire escape engineers, inspect the summary video. 866-649-0333. Quick note on this skywalk here. It's a totally enclosed skywalk, so there's no steel to inspect. This would be part of a building inspection, interior building inspection, or exterior envelope inspection picked up by an engineering firm. But if this was steel, exposed steel of any kind, we would be able to inspect it as a bridge. But right now, this is falling into the guidelines, I believe, of an envelope inspection or a building inspection.